tell, then you see the road. I'm out to my soul into the size. Whenever the smoke clear out of my face and my picture perfect.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to Cypherfics. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the fourth part of, What If My Little Pony Meets Spider-Man? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of JBoy44 on fanfiction.net. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. In the Crystal Emperor. The now powerless Elements and Flurry Heart were watching, Tyrek outside struggling to land a blow on Dark Devil. Twilight was first to speak, anti-magic. That's a thing, she was stunned, but the Colts declare that as a half-spider totem he had anti-magic, not magic. Fluttershy held her mouth gasping as Tyrek tried to stomp on the boy with his front hooves only for them to pass through as fire. What is he? As the Colt breathed fire knocking the centaur back, Rainbow Dash said, "A disabled Colt who is awesome, how he's male," she said, struggling with this with her out-of-date mind. Pinkie Pie was jaw on the floor watching as the Colt on Tyrek's back and used a flaming web line to start strangling him by making a loop and twisting it around his neck. The centaur was struggling as Applejack said, "Oh Nelly, what is that Colt?" Rarity was stunned as she said, "Some kind of Dark Knight in training." Flurry Heart just had hearts around her head watching Dark Devil. Tyrek opened his mouth to SCK up more magic growing to the point the flame line snapped and Dark Devil fell off. "You shocked me, I will give you that, but you are just a Colt and I just absorbed all the magic in the area." In the next moment however Spiderling Web swung on to his horn and while standing upside down said, "Yeah, my cousin isn't the only spider totem around." She then punched him in the left eye making him back up screaming in pain. Spiderling them jumped off and Web swung away, spiders for life. The centaur regained focus and roared about to fire a magic blast, but in a moment it fired the wrong way as one of his horns were slashed up and he saw Spider-Man landing his 4 spider legs out. Spiderling Dark Devil, get out of here. I'm the adult, I'll be handling this thing. Dark Devil saluted, "Yes Uncle Sir," he said, firing off a fire line to swing away on, as Spiderling Web swung away, "Yes Mr. Daddy Sir." In a moment Spider-Man looked up to the large bull thing, "You going to make a move?" The bad guy roared in rage trying to step on him but Spider-Man was flipping out of the way. "I will admit you are stronger but there is a problem there, that's your whole thing, still power, use it to smash." He spoke avoiding it like it was nothing. "You are so generic, it's sad." The bad guy roared in rage as he used his one horn to fire a magic blast that Peter just flipped over, firing a web ball to hit him in the eye. With the other eye closed by damaged he was left blind, screaming, clawing at his face to remove it. Peter then shot a web line at his waist leg and ran around it till the loop was around all 4 legs, and with a pull on the ground his looks were pushed together making him fall sideways onto the streets as he said, "And that's why this isn't a challenge for me, you are just a knockoff inheritor." The centaur looked confused as he removed the web from his eyes and broke his legs free, but at that point he spotted Spider-Man on his stomach who with a stinger pop stabbed him making him turn green. "Anti-magic spider venom has been injected into you." He jumped off firing a web line backwards to land on a castle wall as he said, 3, 2 and 1, all the magic within Tyrek then flow out of his mouth back to its rightful owners. The power ponies, now powered again, showed up to watch as Philly Second said, "It's just going on for days." She blinked as some of the statues were coming back upon the magic release. Dark Devil blinked as he listened, "I am glad my senior can't give me a clear picture, this sounds way gross." Flurry Heart hid her eyes in his back, "It is gross, it's throw up, yuck." The Devil was blushing as Shining Armor growled while Cadance went awe at her daughter's crush. Peter on the other hand was watching, "Yeah, going to be a while." Every pony was just waiting for the rapidly shrinking centaur to finish throwing up so all the magic would be where it belonged and he would be beaten. After 10 minutes Tyrek was at his weakest. He went to absorb magic from a random pony on the streets, but nothing happened as Peter webbed his hands up. "Yeah, hit by anti-magic stinger, your magic is gone, idiot." He screamed in horror at it as Cadance ordered, "Take the centaur to the dungeon." Much later Cadance was putting a medal on Spider-Man as she said, for setting my kingdom free and saving us. I award you Spider-Man for being our hero," she said happily, saying, "Your mare are lucky ladies," she said before going back to her own growling enraged husband. Elsewhere, while getting ready to leave, Flurry Heart ran up to Dark Devil. "So what, you're leaving?" The Bat Pony then said, "Yeah, it's been 1,000 years. Thing changed, Flurry, and you guys just aren't ready for it yet," he said as the princess pulled him into a kiss, making him look shocked. Flurry Heart put a hand on his shoulder. "At least allow the princess to see your face and know the name of her knight in shining armor." The little devil removed his mask, showing his eyeless state. Flurry gasped, but up a hand on his face and put her forehead to his, happily making him blush. "I am Princess Flurry Heart." Dark Devil blinked as he said, "Riley Prancer," he said before putting his mask on to fire a web line up at the plan construct Radiance had summoned to be pulled away back to the modern city. The little princess smiled and said, "Flurry Heart Prancer has a ring to it," she said, resting her elbow on stone as she rested her face on her hands. Cadance walked off, patting her daughter's back. "I saw, honey, your crush is a brave young stallion, and strong as well. I wonder how this world changed to BRTH ponies like that." Behind them was Shining Armor. He was not liking the modern world any bit. His daughter had kissed a stallion awarded for saving his land. He never even was awarded for his work as a guard. If he had been born in this time, he felt like he would be the one leading that group of warriors, not that spider freak. Let alone allowing that even freakier colt to kiss his daughter. The ruling princess turned to look at her husband. She could sense the spark of hate in him. She was ignoring it as she just viewed it as him being protective and a reaction to being displaced in time. She hoped she was right. A week later, Flurry Heart was flying to a roadside mailbox away from her kingdom to drop a letter. All she knew about it is she put it in. Then in the outbox a few days later, one from Riley would come. She was blushing at the thought of hearing from him. As she dropped it in, smiling, "Thank you, postal workers," she said as a anthro-uniformed form of Derpy flowed down to pick up the letters, and she said, "Thanks, little lady. It's an essential job." In the Crystal Emperor, the Cruel Quattro were battling Scarlet Spider. Hiding behind one of the old buildings was Daring Do and Zekra. The explorer then asked, "Why on Equus would they want to attack this backwards ball? I only came here as it's like a living history museum." Zekra then pointed to one of the old-time farming tools. "They are still as old as can be and still working, worth millions they are." Not too far away, Kane was on the side of a stone wall, jumping to avoid a stretched punch from the RBB bug as he shivered. "So creepy." He then fired a web line to zip line out of another as he smiled under his mask. A flighter had landed on the bug, biting him, lots of them, making him scream as he ran out screaming. He did the thing again. Kane landed on the ground but quickly was knocked down by an elbow ram by the stone bug, knocking him down, making him skip along the ground. "God damn it." He then rolled to avoid a fireball before gasping for air and seeing a shine. The invisible one had domed his head. He was running out of air. The invisible one smirked, becoming visible as he couldn't use invisibility while focusing this hard, using both powers to protect himself easy, making a dome around someone else hard as hell. It was at that moment Zekra whacked him on the back of the head with a shovel, knocking him out. She laughed as she ran. With him knocked out, Kane regained the ability to breath as he jumped to avoid another ram charge from the stone one. He fired off 2 weblins to zip line to his back, where he grabbed the bug by the horn. By moving it, he steered him into a stone wall. Upon impact, he was knocked out, leaving only one of the fiendish 4 left. Firebug looked down from his place in the air. "Yeah, nice going invisible, he's winning now," he called out, shooting fireball down. The place was mostly stone, so wasn't much to burn. Plus Kane was avoiding them on the ground. There wasn't any object high enough to web line to get up there but the bug himself, and that would burn the line. The flaming bug said, "As long as I stay up here, I can roast him on range. Come on, you got to do this for the team, hothead." That is when water was dropped on him, making him fall as he couldn't flame back on. He soon flapped his normal changeling wings and looked up. Daring Do had dumped a bucket of water on him. He gulped. "Okay, but I can still fly." Do then dive bombed, knocking them both to the ground. Now on the ground, the bug looked up to Kane and said, "Hi Scarlet Spider, I give web me up, I can't flame on again for another hour anyway. I give Scary Spider." No, really, how are you scarier than the evil sibling? Watching Shining Armor was growling. Those 4 bugs beat him and his guard like nothing but Kane handle them. It made his jealousy and hate of the spiders grow. He then walked over. He spotted his sister still talking about being shown Prancer Industry. She had spoken highly of this stallion. It made him sick the way she said she was only turned down to join his herd because he felt weirded out by the fact she was old enough to be an ancestor. She was a princess. Princess get a stallion all to themselves. He growled and asked, "Where is Flurry Heart?" The Princess of Friendship smiled. She want to fly over to Meritropolis to go see that dark devil kid. Who trust him with his real name? From what I know, that's pretty big for spider totems. Shining growled. He adjusted his knight suit of armor, holding a hand on his sword. You let my daughter got to that nest of sin. From his perspective, the way modern Mares and stallions dressed and acted was sinful. He want to keep his daughter far away from it. He growled, leaving Twilight stunned as Cadance walked over sighing. I felt it since the wedding. He sank low, unable to tell the changeling from me. But you could. Then his shields failed. Now this. He has been slowly driven down. From here he was top stallion, as high as a stallion could. Only to find out his place means nothing in this world. I fear he will do something horrible if more comes about. Meanwhile, in the Power Pony / Prancer Industry Tower, May was with Flurry Heart in her room. Okay, now you will stick out like a sore thumb, ruining me and my cousin's secret identity, so you need a disguise and a cover name. Hold on. Moments later, May came out looking at Billy and Riley. I present Heart Sparkle. In a moment, Flurry walked out in a blue hoodie that hid her wings, blue skirt, pink stockings, blue boots, and she blushed as May put the little pink sun hat on her. I bounded her wings so she looks like a unicorn. The jacket hiding the binding rig up. Would have been easier to use my webs, but they would melt away and pop would go the wings. Riley smiled as he said, "You look cute." The princess was red, hearts exploding inside her mind. They then head out, showing her around the city. Peter was watching them leave through a window. He didn't like it as he could see what was coming, but his daughter wasn't a baby anymore. She was spiderling and Riley had been made sharp. He knew what was coming wasn't his fight. At that point he heard crying and walked off to pick up Charlotte, who was in a Spider-Man themed footy onesie. Peter smiled, kissing her head, making her stop. It's okay, little Philly, daddy's here. Later on in the city, Flurry was spinning around gasping at the modern city light screen, steel buildings bigger than her castle everywhere. She would pet at night, the lights would shine better. So many people and machines. Chariots with no one pulling them, it was amazing, and the airships. She then seen an electronics store and saw the TVs. She had seen movie screens before, but one you could take home. It was amazing, she gasped. Riley smiled happily at it. She's cute, he said, adjusting his headband. That is when they heard an angry voice. Flurry, the prince in disguise, ran from the sound of her dad. The prince was angry. You lure my daughter to this den of sin and dress her like one of your young wenches. I will kill you, fool, he said, swinging his sword, only for Riley to jump to the side. As ponies were running, Billy used his tail to smash open a sewer drain for Riley and May to jump down and get changed into Dark Devil and Spiderling. Billy was running to find a place for Flurry Heart to hide as he said, "Sorry princess, but I have to make sure you're safe while your boyfriend and his cousin handle your dad." The undercover princess sniffled as she whimpered out, "Why daddy?" Shining Armor swung his two-handed broadsword at Spiderling, only for her to flip over. "Corrupting wench, foul knave," he said, raising a shield to protect from Dark Devil's fire breath. Dark Devil then said, "Yeah, I am just going to assume those were insults," he said, making a fire shield to block a sword slash. Spiderling was up on side of a wall firing off a web line, but he domed shield to protect himself from it. He's quick. Watching from above was Mary Jane as the she-devil with a sword outfit and white tiger on a roof said, "Wait, this is the kids' fight, let them handle it. I know you just got her back, but May is a big girl now. And she thinks a lot like her old man." As the knight swung his sword and used his shield to protect him, Dark Devil summoned flaming sword and shield as he said, "I can see why he went down in the history books. He is as skilled of shield magic and sword fighting as a Philizon, and just as crazy too," he commented, clashing blades with the knight. As he jumped back and said, "Okay, time to experiment." he said, dropping his weapons and holding his hands together. He fired off a burst of fire given the shape of a Chinese dragon. Only for Shining to make a dome again. It was at that point May watched something. A little rock hopped form by his feet to the other side and smirked. Weakness found, she said, web swinging over to Billy and Flurry Heart. No, this is bad, princess, but I just spotted your old man's weakness and we need help. In a moment Billy jumped out, crawling on a wall before jumping off, hissing, only to be knocked away by the shield. But a moment later Shining heard a cracking sounded and spotted his daughter back in her princess outfit as she was crying, standing her ground. I am not going to let you hurt anyone, Dad. Shining growled. I am your father, you will obey, he said. Bring down a punch covered in a mimishile to act as a boxing glove over a metal-covered hand, meaning the left hook he hit his daughter upside the face with sent her flying into a wall hard enough to make a creator leave a bruise, her crying, and she spat out a tooth. Riley growled. He saw it with his radar sense as he roared out, his voice sounding slightly more demonic. That was your daughter. He jumped holding 2 swords of fire, but the flames were white hot. Shining made a new dome shield to protect, and she did not obey her father, so she deserves that treatment for coming to this den of skin. His eyes widened as he was pushed back. The colt before him cracked his shield. Flurry did, but she was an alicorn. He was just a freak of nature. How in the world? His eyes widened. Dark Devil was covered in white-hot flames as he slashed, cracking it more. The only sinner here is you. That is when Billy hopped down into the sewers as he said, well, time to use that weakness. Shining armor jumped back, his shield shattering, but he quickly made a new one to defend from the now savage wild slashes of the cold before him. His eyes widened. It was like something in the freak snapped, bring out his wild nature. Flurry Heart then cried out, stop the bad guy. In a moment Riley put his hands together, merging his blades, and in one swing shattered the new shield and ever shield Shining summoned after that. The only thing saving the stallion was how quickly he could summon them. But then he gasped as Billy popped up inside his shield by bursting from the street below and whacked him in the head with his tail. Now pinned to a wall, Shining only for Spiderling's arms to smash through a window and grab his neck, choking him as the filly smiled. Found your weakness, a stone inside went out, showing your shields are not 6-sided. They are 5-sided. Always one hole in them. You normally use the ground as where you leave the gap. Shining struggled, gasping, but May continued, using the ground below you as the 6th wall may have worked back in the day, but in 2 days cities the ground is hollow. When you found that out, you tried to use this wall as the gap filler. But it's a glass building, it's easy to shatter. Before long Shining dropped his sword as the sleeper hold had him pass out, and May let go, coming out of the building and webbing him up as she said, and we just beat a warrior from the ancient past that was in the history books. We should get an A+ for this in history class. Riley on the other hand was helping up Flurry Heart, who was crying, hugged him. Later on, a crying Cadance was using a healing spell on the power tower to heal her daughter. How could he fall so far? Flurry Heart said, I was having a great day too. Being Heart Sparkle was a lot more fun than being Princess Flurry Heart. I can see why they use masks. The Princess of Help hugged her daughter, then keep the outfit and keep coming here. Your fallen father is no longer a problem. Riley then walked over, and in a moment Flurry Heart grabbed his face and kissed him as Cadance smiled, for thou daughter of mine has found her knight. And his armor shines brighter than mine ever did. The next day, Spruce was walking to the rest of Herd Prancer, so Zebra's prince wants to meet Peter to know if he wants to invest in Prancer Industry Tech. It's me as I am head scientist him. Zaven and Ava as he thinks they are a half zebra and zebra respectively, and Peter's one guest of his choice is Mary Jane. Mary yawned. She was still in a white shirt and short shorts, her only nightwear. Okay then. We can handle the city without Spider-Man for a while. We did so before. After all, we have May and Riley to keep us our old numbers and gender ratio. Aurora nodded, still in a nightgown. Fair enough. Mary Jumper was holding her daughter. She was fully dressed. I can trust the Connors to full sit, she said, kissing the baby's head, making her giggle. Trot was in a night top and black pajama pants. Yeah, we can handle while Spider-Man swings around Zebraca. After all, they reached our tech level before we did. And we only meet it as a super-powered alien came to uplifted us. Green put on her bracelets, changing form her purple nightgown to her radiance outfit. Yes, he did, and he was very handsome and charming. All the things you look for in a hero, she said happily as Flurry Heart in her heart sparkle outfit was dragging Riley out of the house by the arm. Come on, first day of school like a normal filly, want to make it boyfriend. May walked out in her school uniform happily holding Billy's hand, humming happily with him. Trot rolled her eyes. As you see, there are two types of young fillies in love. In Zebrica the sun was shining on its capital city. The city was clean, tall buildings with solar cells, windmills, water wheels power it. Hanging gardens and plants everywhere. The towers blinding in with the mountains and trees. The tallest one, which seemed to be built into a mountain itself, had a golden crown upon it, showing it was the royal palace. That is when a zebra mare walked out. She had a top of red bandages, red lion cloth bandages of red along her legs, no shoes, going bare-hoofed. She had red bandages wrapping her arms. She had a necklace that had gems and gold hanging from it. She had a red cape with a few holes in it, a silver head bang with a blue gem for a crown. At her back was a sheathed blade. The blade looked like a katana, but the handle golden, the wrap red, the handle a golden ring. She drew it for a moment, looking at its short foot-long shining blade, which seemed to have the color of brace. She had a large mohawk. She put it up and smiled, pulling out a picture. The mayor, who was clearly the ruler of the land, was looking at a picture of Peter Prancer, blushing, holding her face while she leaned on the rails. Oh, good morning, Stud Muffin, I'm going to meet for real today. She smiled, holding it. Her name was Princess Selena. She was one of the many Mares taken by Peter Prancer. She squealed a fangirl squeal at the thought. She knew the council would be removed from power if she joined a herd, as female heirs had to have a husband to themselves to make sure the BLD line gets the throne still. But males could have a herd. She hated the double standard. She sighed, looking at him. Too bad you have a herd. I can't join, but there is a loophole, she said, smiling as she did a happy little shake. A princess can ask a stallion with a herd to father her child. So while I can't wed, we can date, she said happily, running inside as she saw the Zeppelin coming. She quickly put on some dark lipstick and eyeshadow and looked to her side at her cutie mark, a tribal symbol for courage, as she said, "Courage is my cutie mark. I can do this. I am going to walk right up to him and make my offer. He is just voted most attracted stallion of the year and in the running for next year too." She then ran out with some female zebra guard in similar tribal outfit but with golden shoulder blades, belts and leg armor. They had spears as they walked with her to the landing pad to see Peter Prancer. Spruce, Mary Jane. She couldn't help but laugh at the funny name. But she was lovely with her black tank top, jeans and black heels. Zaven, and this last Ava, dressed in white tank top, white skirt, black pink stockings and white flats. The princess bowed. Welcome Peter Prancer and guest. She had to shake her head to fight off having anime heart eyes at him. More handsome in person than in photos, Mr. Prancer. Peter jumped at the comment, as did the Mrs. Prancers around him. Zaven put a hand on her hip, her normal purple cover life dress, as she said, "Okay, I'm not the royal, so how come I am the one dressed fancy?" Zelena smiled, hands behind her back, chest forward. "I am a modest royal woman. I don't let my title go to my head. Which makes me a mare of my zebras." She then shoot a glare to her blushing guards. They were just as smitten with Peter as she was. The princess smiled, calming herself. "Come along," she said, excited, as the members of Herd Prancer walked into her palace. Peter wasn't impressed by it. It was basically a counterpart to Wakanda. He looked down the street, had waterways carved in for boats to be the main way of moving. The princess came to her throne room and sat upon her red and golden throne as she said, "Welcome to my palace, Mr. Prancer. I have looked over your works. I love them. Very impressive. Mostly because you ponies, and I am sorry if this offends, don't have the edges we had in water, sun and wind power to build civilization. But your burning dirt and trash engine is doing a good job. Never would have though of that, as we compost all our trash. I even hear your city is even buying trash to burn." Peter adjusted his tie and rolled his eyes. "Yes, but if you have no need for that tech, I take it's the communication next in the form of the internet you want set up." The mayor on the throne smiled and said, why yes, that is one thing. It would be so nice to see a movie in here. I can't tell you how hard it is for a princess to go out and see something. We only have one movie theater a city per city, so no one is driving out of business. I can't build my own, and wanting to see one means renting the place out. It's only useful when enough of my guards have time off to join me, or else the guy loses a day of business. She wasn't lying. That was one thing. Peter adjusted his tie. He had gotten the movie people to pass laws to stop movies from being released before theaters to protect the business. Yes, and I know other reasons. I am no fool, princess. I can tell from the blushes upon you and your guards' faces there is an underhanded reason. Zaven put hands on her peach, and with laws staying as a female leader you can't be part of a herd. Ava shrugged and said, pretty clear it's an unofficial join you want. Mary Jane put her hands on her peach and gave her wings a flap, understandable. A moment later one of the guards said, not a problem for us. In a moment Peter was tackled by Lady Zebras, who held him down, taking turns kissing him till the Mrs. Prancer got them off. Spruce was growling, barely able to stop herself from growing larger as she helped him up. Control your guard, Zelena. The princess got up smirking. First, you are right and they can't help it. It's not every day a legend walks in who has two legends for his two names. They all jumped, but in a moment she swung her sword still sheathed, but the force would have been enough to harm him. With triggered the spider sense, making Peter flip and land on the side of the wall, sitting right on the middle as his eyes widened as Zelena smiled, Spider-Man. Peter jumped off as the princess smirked, with makes the Mrs. Prancers the power ponies you lead, she said smiling as she put the blade up the Mara's guarding her, giggling about having kissed the spider. Spruce shot a glare, arms crossed as she said, and how do you know this? The zebra princess adjusted her cape so her tail was showing, swinging as she turned to walk to her throne, smiling as she turned to sit down. Simple, zebra is a warrior nation. We know fighters. Unlike your peace-loving ponies, we know fighting styles, and the fact Prancer and Spider-Man both have siblings may be enough to throw them off, but I noticed Peter and Spider-Man in their together photos had Spider-Man behind Peter, making them look the same height in camera. But in person I bet he was taller, much like Kane. She giggled as she said, plus I was there when Zap found her gem and left the life of a princess to become a power pony. Tracking form there is easy, she giggled cutely, resting her head on her arm and crossing her long legs. Peter rolled his eyes. Her movements were transparent as he said, well, sorry to waste your time, but if you don't have the internet you can't reveal identities, and as this is mostly about wanting me, he jumped off, no to both. The princess' eyes widened as to her mind shattered, her plan in ruins as she got up. Wait. If me telling others is what you are scared of, I can give you dirt on me, she said in panic. She then drew her blade and span it around, making the blade turn golden as she grabbed it in a glass. She was in a red body suit with golden stripes, golden helmet that covered her face, turned her mohawk red form normal zebra color, her eyes covered by red gem eyes. The sword remained now twice as long. Golden boots, gloves and shoulder armor. My family's blade makes me the current golden stripes, the legendary figure that allowed us to unite the tribes and lead. Come on, we're all superheroes here. Peter rolled her eyes, thinking of Nova, and how do we know you are not just doing this for fame, not because it's what's right? Zelena held her chin in panic. You can test me. Come on here. If I give up my title, I give up being golden stripes. Peter smirked as he said, fine, then you want a test. I want to see how you handle the Grutzlang. The stories stay, the golden stripes only drives it away. Now is that holding back to keep a title, or truly best you can do? She smiled, saying, why yes. The day it returns is tomorrow. You can watch me and join the fight when I prove it's for real to end it, she said happily, thinking of this as a date. The next day the Grutzlang, a massive beast, with the body of a snake and its fangs but the head of an elephant, roared at Golden Stripes. Watching in costume while hidden was Spider-Man and his Maras. Zelena was Golden Stripes, was flying, firing off beams from her sword as her military was firing off spears from what looked like simple Gatling guns at it. Mary Jane as the she-devil with a sword was watching. What do you think, Peter? Zaven was resting over the side as she watched. He is clearly trying to tell. If this is fake like he fears, then the sense won't go off, so how about we all shut up and let him focus to see. Spruce nodded in her saddle ranger costume in her larger size. Ava was beside her watching as the monster roared and slapped golden strikes with its tail. With had a rattle on the end of it. The beast then charged down with its tusk as spears bounced off it. Golden Strikes held her sword with both hands, having ti glow to hold back the tusk as it charged. That was when it happened. The spider sense tingled. And Peter said, "It's real power, pony up," he said, swinging out as Saddle Rager glow out, punching it back. Golden Strikes looked up saying, "And help has arrived. If we just knew what it wanted." Spider-Man landed beside her and pointed to her, "You are holding it." The she-devil glow out, slashing its body with her sword only for it to bounce off. Ava jumped on its back, clawing at it as she said, "Get to the point, Peter." Zaven held a hand out, making a dome around its head to suffocate it as she said, "Just cover me, I'll smother it." Peter jumped to use his spider leg blades to hold back a tail strike. "Simple, look closely at its open mouth," he said as the beast opened its fangs. "Looked just like the golden striped sword." The princess looked at it. "It's a set of these." She looked at it as Peter said, "Not all of it, that's just where the blade part came from." "And also look closely," he said, using a leg to point to a wielding line. Zelena looked at it. The blade was repaired using one of its teeth. "No wonder it keeps coming back." Some pony ripped out its tooth and ran off with it. The thing roared in the dome, getting weaker form, lack of air, as Saddle Rager punched the parts of tail away to keep it away. "Yep. And it can't tell the difference between one pony and the one that wronged it, so it thinks every pony is guilty. Hence why it keeps coming back." The current princess looked at the blade, still doesn't explain why it's yearly. Saddle Rager smirked as she flew to her. "Habitation CYCL, she said, pointing to some spots on the stomach. "Those resemble the feeding ports on some dirt swimming class animals. Most of them are asleep more than awake. It probably tried to get payback, then when it's almost out of time slithers away to find a place to sleep till it's up again. From its understanding of time, it's probably only been a few days at best since its tooth has gone missing," explaining why it's still enraged. The beast fell over dead as Zelena walked over to the suffocated monster. "What did one of my ancestors do to forge this power?" Spider-Man walked over as Zaven dropped the dome as he ripped off one of its teeth and looked at it. "Nothing. The teeth are just copper. No power within them. Just like the best. Your ancestor probably saw it sticking out of the ground and figured it came across a broken sword to use to fix theirs." Golden Stripes nodded as she looked to her blade and bowed to the Grutzlang. "I wish we could have explained and saved so much time so you could have lived, Grutzlang, tragic beast." Behind them the zebra cheered and Spider-Man hugged the princess, who under her mask had a big blush and hard eyes, happy about it. The deal would happen, and while she couldn't be a Mrs. Prancer, she would be Peter's friend and future father of her child. She couldn't be happier, while still feeling sad for the Grutzlang. It looked a happy ending, of so it seemed. A few weeks later in the Power Pony Tower, Zelena was out of costume, panting. "Things went sideways for me." Trot point to their large computer playing a news report of the Zebraca Civil War and how the current government lost. "We can see." Zelena said, "No Grutzlang, no need for golden strikes," they said, she said, holding her blade to change into costume. "Then the council decided to side with my cousin when I revealed my plans to have a half-striped foal, as they said. So I had to fly away, abandoning my throne while using what little treasure I had to set my guards up with new lives here." Peter sighed. "So you came here to join the Power Ponies and buy that herd, Prancer?" Zelena held his hand, blushing. "It's the only bright side to this problem." Merrily walked in holding her daughter and kissed her head. "Hear that, little webhead, you got another mommy." The foal giggled happily as May came in, still in school clothes. She looked to Zelena in costume and she said, "I got another mom now." They all nodded and she said, "Okay, hi new mommy, I'll learn your name later. I have got to go change out of this outfit," she said, walking back to see a paint stand in the back of her skirt. "They are supposed to put wet paint size. Worst part is it's brown, so it looked like I pooped my skirt." Her tail was also covered. "I'll also be needing some paint thinner. It's all over my tail." Everyone held in a laugh. Well, almost everyone. The little filly in Merverse arms giggled at it, making her older sister point to her and say, "Little traitor." Zelena covered her mouth before giggling, then grabbing Peter into a kiss and pinning him to the couch. making Mary Jane grab her to pull her off the new Mrs. Prancer, struggling as the original said, "Not your turn. We go by first join order for alone time with him." The princes in exile then said, "That's if I'm new so I am last." Peter got up covered in black lipstick kiss marks and got up to go get a rag to clean his face. How he end up in this strange case he didn't know. He just came here to get his daughter back. Now here he was with a HRM of superhero women madly in love with him. Two of with were royals. Oh well, tomorrow was date night. He had a long day ahead of him. After all, he now had 10 wives to take out on dates. 10, he had 10. It's like Parker luck was reversed in this universe. The next day, Peter was with Trot walking down the street, hands in his pocket as he smiled, turning a corner to a park he had built. "Best part of building a park, I make the rules," he said, pointing to a no camera size, making the media back off. Trot laughed while Peter made less jokes than normal. She still found his puns good. Yes, talk about a lens cap. The stallion rolled his eyes and people though his jokes were bad. But Trot, the former leader, the one who he replaced on the team, was happily holding his hand. She didn't care about losing her spot as leader. She saw how much smarter he was and clever when he gave them the tools need to stop Hobgoblin. Later on, Merlin was hanging up a flip phone as she said, "And Charlotte is okay." Peter rolled his eyes. He got it. As he held her hand. Stories of him losing May hung on all of them. But unlike May, Charlotte was guarded by many superheroes. Chances were very low. The Philizon, however, won't admit it, but half the reason she worried about her daughter, as the Philizons were just her and her foal. She felt so alone now. When she learned the code was wrong thanks to Peter, he first though was go home and save her ponies, but now they were gone. Because the Maker revived the first queen. Last time she saw other Philizons, they were mind-controlled false revived clones. She felt alone even with her true love and fellow Prancer wives. She felt alone. When she held her daughter, not so much. She felt a little sad about it, as she felt like she was putting everyone else but her daughter on the back burner. Peter knew this. She told him all he did was kiss her, then hold her and say he doesn't know how she feels, but he understands and loves her. All this did was make Merlin, aka Mstrs Merveillous, feel like she was the wife who didn't deserve him. On the next date, Green was on a zeppelin alone with Peter. She was blushing in her captain outfit as she wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him as he held her peach. The mare was red. Peter was handsome, caring, heart of colt, charming, smart, self-made stallion, and a superhero. He was everything a mare could ask for in a gentle colt. Thanks to the rating, we most now move along to the next date. Mary the police mare smiled as she pulled up and got out of her new squad car. The car industry was another Parker industry revolution she was proud to be part of. Mostly as he gave the cops them for free. Everyone, though it was her getting her husband wrapped around her hooves. But in truth Peter was already going to do it. Much like his sister in making non-lethal guns he gave to the police as he felt it was only right for it. They're waiting at the outside cafe was Peter. She had to use all her willpower to walk and not use her super speed to be before him in a second. Because she believed she was the most in love with Peter out of the herd. She had hearts around her head as Mares looked jealous of who she was with. Understandable, with Peter being the richest pony on the planet. He had more in the bank than most kings thanks to him bring inventions from Earth to this world. Later on Peter walked into the Prancer lab stretching as he came to Spruce working on a device as she smiled. "Oh hi Peter," she said, plugging a device into a TV and loading a cartridge into the device and picking up a controller, playing a black and white lower revolution version of an arcade game, and she smiled. "I finally made one of those home video game systems." Peter smiled and said, "Perfect, older games can go to it, new ones to the arcade, so there is no putting them out of business. After all, got a lot of catching up to do with this thing." "Nice job," he then kissed her head. Spruce turned red. She loved Peter as she knew the mind of Spruce and its genius, not Saddle Rager Smash. She couldn't be more in love with him because of that. Up next at the top of the tower was Aurora waiting on top, sitting as she smiled. "Oh, there is my wingless lover." She giggled. She grew up in a race where Pegasus, only she was still new to wingless ponies, let alone loving one. But even without wings he could take to the skies Peter than most of her native ponies. She walked over with a hip wiggle smiling as she grabbed his face and kissed him. It was his power to take to the air without wings that showed her anything was possible. Up next as the sun was setting, Peter was in a club dancing with Zaven. The changeling in zebra form smiled as Peter dipped her. While its true part of her heart still beat for her ex. That is because the changeling found herself because of her. But her love all being to Peter. She happily kissed him as she broke it and said, "I am just a fly caught in the spider's web." She giggled at the joke as Peter rolled her eyes. Up next on the date list was Ava. Ava smiled as she was being walked down the street as the stars came out holding Peter's hand as she said, "I never thought my high school crush on you would get me into a HRM, but I am happy. Maybe it's the new instincts." Peter smiled as he held her hand as he said, "I know Flash would have a heart attack if he watched this day." The young hero smiled as she bumped her peach against his to make him make a shocked stallion sound as she giggled, "Yes he would." Next on the second to last day was Mary Jane, who was sitting on a bench with Peter. "I can't believe all of this, Peter." The stallion said, "Tell me about it," he said, not believing his luck. The redhead put a hand on his face, "I thought I was your jackpot tiger, but no, this is your jackpot prancer." She then happily kissed him, all those happy moments coming back, but she couldn't help but feel if didn't trust that fake nurse with her newborn Peter would be all hers. Up next Peter walked into the tower to see Zelena standing around candle lights with wine poured into glass smirking, and the best for last. "And trust me, I will be the best," she said, walking over and pushing her chest against his chest. "Now let's get you out of that suit you have been in all day." Peter jumped at the stated. Meanwhile, in Canterlot, Tiara was holding a wooden sword practicing with Deadpool, who was only blocking. That is when Wanda smirked as she span her training katana, knocking out Tiara's. "Sorry baby, but you are not going to beat mommy." That is when a note on an arrow came in and Wanda took it. "Hi Deadpool, I am Shadow Mane the Madam Hydra. I went on a trip to Earth, found out you had a daughter there and brought over back as a hostage." Her eyes widened. Her husband and daughter knew she was born male and about how she had to give up a baby before finding herself. In a moment Tiara had a sister instinct and grabbed a gun to hand to her, gun for killing mommy. Wanda took it and put on her mask, big time. Unknown to them. In a cage, Ellie as an anthrozony pink fur with black fur was in a cell sitting quietly, legs crossed as third eye looked to Shadowmare. "She is the perfect option for my mind control as she already has stripes, so my stripes don't spoil it." Wanda was suit up, mask plus her costume as she slashed her way through the Hydra base saying, "Okay Wanda baby, you got this, save your little Ellie baby, take her home to her step-dad and new sister. Go back to happily ever after with the stallion who makes you happy to be a mare now. Who you want to have a foal with," she said, throwing a katana at a Hydra agent to hit him in the neck, and she drew a gun and one Earth pony stallion with yellow fur screamed, "Don't shoot." Deadpool knew the voice. "Bob," the agent said, "I am sorry, do I know you, crazy murder lady?" Deadpool removed her mask and said, "Right, I got gender changed by make, it's me Deadpool buddy." Bob jumped as Wanda kicked him in the gut, making him fall and dragging him into a locket. "Here, I'll lock you up, in those lockers back there. I mean, it's been so long, I mean I got married and I am a stepmother now. I mean I was the other woman for a while, but the first wife was a total bee that had it coming. Had a cat fight with her and everything. My hubby loves to watch the video of me kicking his ex's peach, I could tell if the rating was higher, man. Hee hee haha," she said, stuffing him in a locker and locking it. "Anyway, if you ever quit, just come along and see my family sometime. I am sure one of my new friends would love a nice cold toy like you. Lot better than the life of a minion, I tell you that much." She then ran off as Bob said, "I might take up that offer," he said, groaning in pain. Deadpool then walked into a room to see the zony form of Ellie in a cage marked Ellie and screamed, "My baby caged like an animal." She then took a step but stopped. Wait, common senses tingle. No one guarding caged child sitting still and quit instead of crying. "Something isn't right," she said, putting up all her weapons minus her left hand's katana. She used it to tag the ground ahead of her as she inched closer, then tapped the cage. "Okay, no trap. Ellie, you brainwashed. It's me daddy, well it's mommy now. But come on. Something. Come on. Give me some kind of smart as remart that hurts my feelings while also letting me know you love me. She banged on the bars with her katana. Nothing. What have they done to my baby? She watched a fly land on her eye and she did nothing. Did they remove your brain? She said, holding her face in horror, screaming, someone get down here and tell me what's going on and whose plot I have to cut off and use to smash their skull in. In a moment a vent opened and she drew a gun, but a white flag on a stick came out as she heard Tiara's voice saying, I know mom. Wanda screamed, lady, you are so ground for this. Wait, you snuck into a supervillain base all the way here. Proud but angry as I told you to stay home, gray area hurting brain, she said, holding her brain. Voice in my head torn. Between reward and grounding, save it for later. Tiara jumped down out of it and said, yes I did, I also played spy. Madam Hydra is working with third eye. Since zonies have stripes, Ellie was hypnotized, you want, see it coming they said. Anyway, she had this knife that stops wounds from healing, she is programmed to draw it and stab you in the neck when you hug her. Diamond then opened the cage and poked her, but I'm here, so she removed the knife and replaced it with a pocket knife. There, now she won't kill you. Deadpool petted her head, you are ground for a month. But you are getting the new color screen computer too. Only way I can make sense of this gray area, she said before hugging Ellie. In a moment the Zoni drew the knife and stabbed Deadpool in the neck and she snapped out of it and screamed in horror. Wanda pulled it off, relax Ellie belly, your new stepsister replaced it. This won't kill me. Now let's get you two out of here. So you two can start the grounding. Because hypnotized is still no reason for stabbing mommy. Where is the heroic willpower that broke you out of it, young lady? Ellie blinked as Deadpool pocketed the knife and grabbed both little fillies by the ears, pulling them out. Now come on, young ladies. Both ladies cried and screamed out, MOM, that hurts. As they walked out, Madam Hydra walked out shouldering her new sword, a katana with what looked like two different fury leather bands around it. In a moment Wanda screamed, grabbing her daughters and ducking to hide as the sword shot an energy blast at them. I made this with the hide of the Fenris twins. As their hides are in contact I can use their beam attack. Ellie looked up to Wanda, what, I thought they were husband and wife. Wanda nodded and said, they are that too. Tiara shivered at the thought and said, that's sick. Wanda pulled out a gun to shoot at Madam Hydra as she said, it's Hydra sweetie. She fired all around Madam Hydra, not hitting her. But then a vent fell on top of her, knocking her out as Wanda said, SCK at Hydra. Now come on sweeties, time to run. In a moment Third Eye walked out holding her stone sword as she growled, you will die Deadpool, she said, charging only for Deadpool to pull out the knife Ellie was supposed to use to stab her to block it. But in a moment Ellie and Tiara grabbed Deadpool's guns, one each, and shot the zebra mare in the chest. The woman fell over in pain. In the teats. You little nags. OHF, she said, holding it as the green bandages got stained red. Deadpool held her own and said, wow wow wow, never there you little nuts, she said, grabbing them by the ears and pulling them along. You are both in so much trouble, yet I am proud. She hugged them while pulling on their ears as she said, now come on. Weeks later at home in their now shared room, Ellie and Tiara were playing a video game against each other as they got the new at-home one. It was a simple fighting game where the only difference was the weapon of the characters. Ellie had sword, Tara had spear. Watching in on it, Wanda in a new red dress that was side and backless with a low cut, and white gloves smiled as she adjusted her red heels. My babies are getting along perfectly, yeah. She then grabbed Filthy, now come on Filthy. It's date night and hopefully this will be the magic one. He was red, he was married to a crazy beauty Pisco. He knew he was luck. A month later Wanda was in a house robe happily shaking her plot as she showed Filthy the test that said full, I am PRGNNT. Yes. Upstairs Tiara and Ellie asked, can we leave you our room to hug you? Deadpool hugged her husband Filthy and said, yes, she then kissed her husband, yay PRGN and Deadpool. Meanwhile in jail. Third, I had headgear that hid her eyes as she rubbed her chest, they still have heard. And if I become a mother I'll need to bottle feed, I can't return to natural like I wish anymore. She growled at a drawing of Deadpool on her cell, you will pay Deadpool. Black Light was in the air swinging two sword constructs at golden stripes, only thing worse than a nag is one with stripes. The zebra superheroine made her sword glove as she slashed, sending off an energy wave. The buck you just say. In a moment he formed a black shield to block it. It worked, but she was behind him and drop-kicked him on the head, knocking him out of the air onto the streets. Oh hell no, I am not done with your peach colt. She then landing on top of him as she said, I ain't done with you. The mane below smirked, and here you are acting like a proper striped nag. Hey, she jumped off him and covered herself, feeling objectified. She let out and deepp. We have a freak on our hoves. She backed away and he passed out, peach. The police came to take him away by cuffing him, but elsewhere. The cruel Quattro were in battle on the streets. MJ as the she-devil with a sword was charging and slashing at the RBB bug, he bending out of the way to avoid it as she was too fast to strike against. Saddle Rager was matching the stone bug fist to fist, behind her masked Matterhorn was using freeze rays to fight the Firefly's flame powers. Philly Second was raising, avoiding unseen barriers attacks from the invisible bug. What is with all of this? She comments, stunned by it. Elsewhere in the city, Ave and Zaven were brawling against hoof ninjas. White Tiger slashing one mare's stomach with her claws. Zaven held her hand out, shooting fire at the ninjas. This is crazy. Not too far away, the Mare Velas was throwing hooferangs in the barrel of Hydra agents, making their guns explode as she roped them. What is it, bad guy field day? One of the agents, no, just everyone wants the thing. He covered his mouth as Mare Velas raised an eyebrow at the comment. What's the thing? Not too far away in the air, Radiance was in the air using support beam construct to hold up a bridge as Zap was calling down lighting strikes to hit the Philizons above, making them vanish as Necro Nag was throwing out more items to summon more Philizon. At least till Spider-Man Web swung in and knocked her out with a two-hooved kick to the head, making her minions go down. Zap with me, we need to get the ponies off the bridge, Radiance can't hold it up all day. The two hurried while everyone was trying to figure out what the city's bad guys wanted. Not too much later, Longface was throwing new chemical bombs that seemed to melt glass and plastic to melt a window to grab gems from a jewelry story window, but in a moment he was kneed in the back by Philly Second. The power pony removed his belt of bombs and held him down by holding her hoof on her head. Okay, what is it you guys are after? I missed the thing all over today from this riot. What the buck is going on? Longface groaned as he said, the maker's holding an auction. He groaned in pain as he dropped the gems. He is bidding off weapons, tech, costumes, and even a symbiote-made form recovered codexes. He gasped out as Philly Second took a step back in shock and he pulled out a small gas bomb and hit it. It was just smoke, but it gave him the cover to flee. When the smoke cleared, Philly Second had a gas mask over her face, same colors as her suit, and it retracted into her mask in 3 parts. Glad we had that put in our masks. But still, now that can't be good. I remember the last maker cleanup. She said, running off to share what she found. Elsewhere in the city. High Heel was robing a bank hoof ninja, loading up bits as she laughed, only for golden hooves to fly in a window and say, okay, where is the auction? She demanded to know, holding her weapon. High Heel removed her headgear as she said, yeah, not telling you power ponies, she stated as she pulled out from her shoes card. Besides, you need an invite like this one. Golden strips flow forward to try and grab it, only for High Heel to spin and kick her in the helmet, knocking her away. You took away my goblin powers, but I have something for that, or at least. Will one of the items is goblin potion. Mixed with demon BLD. The zebra shivered as she fired a power blast from her sword, knocking her out with a hit to the gut. She walked over, taking the card as she said, well, that's gross. She then hit the side of her head. Kurt, since Martha is watching the foals, I need you to check something out for me. This invite for the auction says makermarket.evil. In the tower, Kurt walked over to the big computer and put it in, and, yep, a website just came up. It's a gallery of items for sale in the auction. Symbiote Doc Ox tentacles, Shocker's shock gloves, goblin potion. Guns, swords, armor, and that kind of stuff. You know he is doing this just for fun. Wait, I found something. Tarantula is for auction. Golden Stripes then comment while firing off beams at Hoof Ninja that were trying to get away, Spider-Man's evil brother and Dark Devil father. Why the hell is he up for auction? Who would want him? Kurt then spoke. Upus, he said, you forget Scarlet and him came into this world unnaturally as copies of Spider-Man. Because of this they aren't truly siblings, they are more correctly the same person split into 3 parts. In magical terms. Golden Stripes used her sword to block a katana strike, as she said, so he's linked to the other 2. Magically, that sounds bad, man. Kurt then continued as he said, while the connection faded as they lived and gained their own souls, they are still only alive as part of Spider-Man's spark theirs. That connection is how he made Scarlet pay for his evil. And it can be done again. Golden Stripes finished off the last Hoof Ninja with a knee to the gut, as she said, so someone could turn the bad spider back to normal and turn Scarlet or my husband into a spider. Yeah, that's bad. Kurt then chuckled. If he was alive, but it looks like it's a corpse, he continued looking at the lifeless picture, or a shed skin. Again, still a connection that could be used if not to Spider-Man but to the web of life and destiny. That's the magical force that empowers spiders' totems like them. Golden Stripes then said, okay, good to know. New wife needs the info, she said, hands on her hip, so Spider-Man has a connection to this web. Scarlet's and the bad one came form piggyback riding on Spider-Man, so it's possible to use the other guy to hook onto it and make a new spider totem. Kurt then said, yes, and thanks to Venom having been attached to him for a while, the symbiote has a web connection as well. The new wife then left the bank to fly off to handle more Hydra guys up the street, so that's bad. I wasn't here to see a symbiote in action. Makes me the only power pony to not have seen Venom. Elsewhere. The Maker was in a warehouse dusting his items as he put on the shelf more things. He would start a new supervillain age soon. He didn't need the money, he just want the ones to get this powers to earn them. In the city, Flurry Heart was with Dark Devil and Spiderling. The princess was hovering in the air firing off a blast of magic at a bootleg Hulkbuster using Hydra agent blasting its left arm off. This is all so crazy. Dark Devil was jumping around using flaming web lines to melt blasts to disarm the ponies. I know Necro Nag is after my dad's corpse to raise him back. I don't want my supervillain dad swinging around doing evil. He can easily frame Uncle Spider-Man. Spiderling was likewise swinging around, but she was swinging to land hooves to the face of Hydra agents. Yeah, and in the meantime it's a riot for this stuff. They are everywhere and we are spread too thin. We had to call for help, for crying out loud. Elsewhere in the city. Hoof Ninjas were throwing shuriken at Morbius, who was flying after them on the roofs. You cannot run, I can smell your fear, it makes your BLD run cold. Not too far away. Spider-Man was swinging around avoiding shoots from Blacklight's revolver constructs as he fired in the middle of a gold mint. Hold still, you stupid nag. The Spider Sister landing on the roof and pulled out from a belt a small marble-like thing and dropped it, filling the room with smoke. The bad guy looked around, changing his construct to lanterns to look around, and at that moment Teresa jumped out with a strike to the back of his neck, Venom Strike, making him fall over as she said, "Thank you, Spider Sense." Down the street. Kane jumped on top of a street gang's stolen armored car and smashed the window with his fist. Making the thug park the car, get out and fall on the ground, hands out as they said, we just want to take money while this chaos was happening, she said, crying. Please don't burn my face, crazy spider. In a moment Zekra walked out and kicked the nag in the face and spat on her, and Kane's lens mimicked an eye raise. Like when you want to put Daring in her place as Beta Mare. Halfway across the city. Peter was web swinging as he stated, Hydra is going to want the supervillain gear, he stated, coming to the kids' fight. He landed and watched Flurry Heart ripped off the bootleg Hulkbuster's left arm as he swung away, not need here. Hydra will probably want the weapons to give attack power to those power suits. He came to see his sister webbing up the knocked out Black Light. And he swung on, the symbiote is what we need to worry about, he stated under his mask as he swung along, coming past his brother. I know Necro Nag will revive Ben and I am ready. But right now, I am need here. He said coming to a jail marked the spider nest, they renamed it after me, he said happily swinging in. The yard was in a riot. He landed using his spider legs to give to bashes as he did so. Using the outside not the bladed tips it knocked out Neon Brush and Fetlock, okay Super Prisoner 1 and 2 aren't getting out today. He then flipped and fired off a web ball from his leg hand covering the inmate that tried to hit him with a pipe in impact web netting. He landed on side of the wall as he used his two lower spider legs to knock back to rushing at him as he said, "Really I am let down." He then jumped and rapidly moved firing off a web line to avoid bullets. Oh, they took the sniper towers. How cute, he called out heading to the tower as he reached and threw a marble-like thing to fill the area with smoke to hide. His lens became red as he started seeing body heat as he landed in it, where he punched out someone at the gunner controls. The other inmate panicked when he heard the landing and the knocked-out body falling, but a web line pulled him into Spider-Man's fist. He then took the gun as he waved his spider legs to clear out the smoke. He then had his lens zoom so he could shoot the gun at the other tower with the remaining ammo. The other gunner inmate ducked as the bullets hit the open side of the barrel of the machine gun, jamming it. Peter then said, "Gun built into Tower 2 jammed and Gun 1, he ripped the barrel off and throw it down, broken." He then jumped out into the riot landing on one foot and a knee, hands out his spider legs moving to knock out inmates as he looked at them, "Okay, who wants to come at me next?" The inmates fell down in fear, but Spider-Man did a head count, "We are missing 2 ponies. On the important list. True Hoof and Shining Armor are out." The guards came in and he fired a web line, "I'll leave this to you gals, sorry no time to sign autographs." The guard ladies sighed sadly at it watching him leave. One mare then said, "I hate to see him go, but I love to watch him leave." Elsewhere in the sewers. Shining growled, "Knave. I do man to know where thou is taking me. As rightful princes of the Crystal Emperor." Truehoof dust off his jail outfit, bars and all, "Simple," he said holding out the card, "this address is for a power auction. We both lost everything to the spiders, their nags, and I guess offspring even, so we can get new powers here. The high-ticket item is the symbiote." The princess looked confused as he broke the band off his horn, allowing him to summon his armor and sword, and Truehoof rolled his eyes. "It's a living suit of armor." Shining's eyes widened as he continued, "It copies the powers of all who wore it to give to the current one. Special powers like superpowers, skills, memories to use them right, all of that. And the spider once wore it. By wearing one of us will know who's under the mask." Shining smiled at the comment, "Then it's only a matter of using it to slay the spider," he said, slashing a bar as Truehoof pointed to. They then stepped into the auction house as Truehoof said, "Yes. But our problem is being outbid. I have some cash saved, but we most be the only ones to bid on the symbiote," he said, coming in to see Hydra agents placing bids before the Doc Ock tentacles and Shocker gauntlets. Necro Nag bidding on Ben's corpse. Truehoof then bid on the symbiote jar. "Good, we are the only ones wanting it. We must make sure no one else does." Shining stood guard by it. He would slay anyone who tried to bid on it, he said, looking to the barrier around the jar stopping him from taking it. At that point in the sewers Peter was walking. The spiders told him where they were and he was ready for it. In the rich manor Wanda was laying on the couch in a house coat resting. "Yeah, I can't help my friends thanks to being PRGNT. But I am here to fourth wall break and get the message about the new poll that will be open till chapter 50. She then pulled out cookies and said, "I love yet hate this thing." Meanwhile in the auction house, Hydra agents were taking Shocker's gauntlets and leaving. They would probably add the tech to their bootleg Hulk boosters to give them weapons. Truehoof was watching Shining armor. He was guarding the force field holding the symbiote in a jar. He need to be quick. He knew when it opened one of them would get it and the other would fall. Shining already had better fighting skills than him. He turned to see Necro Nag's hench ponies breaking apart the evil spider's exoskeleton to all carry it out in one piece. She would get the honor of knowing who the spider was as well as soon as she summoned that thing. Well, if the spider he became still had its pony mind to remember who his brothers are. He looked to the jar, and it was something the spider said he once wore. Knowledge of Spider-Man's name and face was there. It was the highest ticket item. But the other bad guys didn't seem to want it. The hoof were taking Doc Ock's tentacles and leaving the Maker then spoke on a speaker, "Look at all this, just a few more things up before the reveal of the owner of Venom." True Hoof moved closer. Shining wasn't striking him like he did every pony else who got near it. Almost time. Outside it in the sewers, Philly Second had her mask on walking with Peter. "I should have changed into my stealth suit, this one is ruined now. It's white in CRP water. I am going to have to burn it and make stealth suit my new go-to." She complained about it as Peter sighed. The stallion said, "I am rolling my eyes under my mask. The spiders say behind this wall," he said, stabbing it with his spider legs all four at once, making a hole to look inside to see the auction and henchponies trying to get past Shining Armor to bid on Venom. Shining Armor was slashing a mare henchpony's head off. "Be glad you meet your in by my blade, vile wrench, for your life is sin as a modern worlder. I shall end that. With this symbiote's power. A whole army in one suit of self-repairing armor." That is when Peter backed up to get a running start, and he jumped, hitting the wall with his fist, his knees, hooves and four spider legs knocking it down as he landed, and Shining growled, "Point at him, the knave dares." Peter got up as Philly Second ran and most of the bad guys ran. As Shining charged at them, Philly Second moved in at high speed, kicking her boots off, going to regret this on the way out. The very dirty boots almost hit Shining, but two small energy shields formed. Shining smirked as he smiled. He had a dome of shield plats around him, gaps between them as he smiled. "Behold my improvement by pure focus while locked up. I had this plats all around me, making the whole structure my missing wall." Peter fired his flamethrowers from his wrist, only for Shining to merge them together into a wall to block it. "I can SWCH to wall and back again." He turned, using a sword held sideways to block a punch from Philly Second. The mare screamed as she jumped back, her left arm bleeding, staining her suit red. "F," she said, holding it, staining the other side. He cut through it. "This is carbon fiber plating I am wearing, lightweight and powerful," she said, groaning in pain. Shining Armor smirked as markings glow on his blade, showing its enchantment. "I didn't charge my blade's runes before as I didn't think I would need it, but I know better now," she said, turning his shields back to Mess Dome. Spider-Man jumped to a ceiling as he smirked above. "Maybe, but you are still outnumbered," he said as spiders came in. The spiders crawling all over Shining quickly turned his shield back to a normal dome to protect before slashing his sword against it, covering the dome in fire as he charged, burning the spiders apart before he stopped. Dome gone and his hands on his blade. "Such tricks, I am ready for knaves." Philly Second smirked as she dropped a smoke bomb and ran. When the smoke cleared, Philly Second was inside the dome, where she used her good arm to give a high-speed punch to Shining Armor, knocking him out. Peter jumped down, putting the magic jammer on him and webbing him up before running over Mary. He ripped off the bleeding sleeve and quickly webbed up the wound to work as a bandage. "We need to get you back." Philly Second moved her arm. "Relax, everything on me is fast, even my healing." Peter countered with, "And what about the infection from all the CRP gas leaking into this room?" In a moment the mare ran at high speed to go check into a hospital. But at that moment True Hoof smirked as he had the symbiote jar and smashed it. Soon it covered him as he laughed, became a new version of Venom. This version had the symbiote's king's red dragon mark and one red spiral for an eye as he roared with red teeth, his tail looking scorpion-like. "Peter, it remembers you as Peter, only one pony with that name around Prancer." He laughed, charging forward only for Peter to shoot fireballs from the gauntlets, making him jump back. Venom crawled away, vanishing into the shadows. "Doesn't matter, I know where to hurt you in your new month-old foal." Peter screamed as he ran, hitting his wrist communicator. "Venom is back, he is going after Charlotte." In the tower, Martha quickly picked up the foal who was before playing with blocks, making her cry as she backed away, hissing, "Kurt, honey. Symbiote." Billy was soon knocked into a wall, as he said, "He's here." Venom came in smirking. "Time to make Prancer pay," he hissed, roaring, charging forward only for Kurt to come in screaming. "Cover the child's ass," he said, pulling a trigger on a gun. In a moment a sonic blast hit the building, shattering the windows and making the foal cry loudly in pain as it was hurting her ears, and there was a monster in front of her. She was scared and now really need a diaper changing. Venom held his head, jumping out as Kurt let go of the trigger. I did not want to do that, he said. It didn't seem to affect any of the lizard's ears. On side of the building, Merveillous swung down using her rope to kick the monster. I will end you, she growled, her maternal instincts screaming in rage. Venom was knocked back, but he fired a web line to pull himself to the side of a building as he covered his body in spikes. Not happening again. We will have revenge for ruining us, he said, roaring as he licked his eye with his symbiote tongue, a reptile habit. A moment later, Radiance landed, summoning constructs of speakers to bump loud sounds at all angles. Spider-Man arrived, and while web swinging fired off his wrist-mounted flame-throwers at the symbiote, it was on fire and loud sound. The slime left the host to be the one on fire. Truehoof screamed as he fell off the building on fire. Upon impact with the street, he was death. The fate of the symbiote was in question, but right now they made more to focus on. The next day in a doctor's office, Merlin Jumper had told the doctors about Venom's attack on her home. She was nervous. The doctor had just finished the test on her daughter, who was now sleeping in her arms. The mare doctor came in. Yeah, hate to say it, but your foal isn't respawned to sound. She's deaf. Merlin started crying. Her daughter would never hear her or her father say I love you all because of Venom. She growled, holding her child as she left. All over the city, aids for hearing ads were everywhere, the newest Prancer industry invention. Charlotte was the poster child for it. In the video, Merlin put it on her left ear, and the deaf little girl heard her dad clap behind her, and she turned to him, showing she heard it. In the tower, Mary Jane was holding the little girl. Her earring aids were big enough to be seen and had a little band linking them thanks to how big they were, but they worked and she was just fine. Although she kept waking up crying, probably from Venom nightmares. May walked in growling, my little sister is suffering PTSD and she isn't out of diapers. She then span around somehow, quick changing into her Spiderling outfit. Dad and Mommy Merveillous should have let me join in the hunt for Venom. Elsewhere in the city, Merveillous was avoiding metal claws. The hoof ninjas had 2 of Ock's tentacles on their belts. Come on, where the hell is Venom? Not too far away. High heel was she? Wasn't high heel anymore. She had changed her outfit. She added a coat and had the 4 tentacles of Ock on her. She was now Lady Ock. Her 4 metal arms were in use. 2 holding her up as the other 2 tried to crush Spider-Man on side of a building. We don't know, we are after it. Since that night, reports of it have been going crazy. Truehoof died before he could reveal who you are. So it's the most wanted thing in the city. In a moment she smiled as what looked like Venom came out, and she jumped with her legs to it. Only for Spider-Man to fire a web line to her back and zip to it, landing a leg between the gears, shutting them down, making High Heel fall over. First Goblin, not Ock. Sorry Heel, but you are not becoming Venom. You have enough identity crisis. He then jumped off, firing off a fireball at Venom, making it roar as symbiote biomass covered Ock tentacles came up as he said, "Great, a ninja is wearing it," he said as Venom also drew from its body a katana and covered it in biomass, making it grow to fit his hand as he roared, jumping. The biomass on the tentacles turning into buzzsaws that easily slashed through Peter's spider legs, leaving him without them. He flipped out of the way looking at it and said, "Well, you disarmed me." Merveillous chuckled to herself while throwing hooferangs at the ninja's tentacle belts to jam them. Okay, that one was funny. Peter looked to the legs slowly regrowing, but this suit regenerates, won't be any time soon, but they'll be back, he said, retracting them so they didn't get in the way. He fired off more flames from his gauntlets at the ninja Venom. It roared, removing the mass from the tentacles to use their metal as a makeshift shield. That is when Peter noticed, said, "Now zap." In a moment lightning hit the metal arms, shocking Venom, making the symbiote leave the host, now smaller. The ninja fell over coughing. "I didn't even get to look into its memory to know who's under the mask," she said, falling over almost dead. Zap flew lower and said, "Good thing I was passing. That thing is a nightmare." Merveillous and Spider-Man took off, not even noticing her, because they were in mission mode. The Power Pony sighed. She understood, "I need to be the next mare to have a Prancer foal." While web-swinging, Peter said, "My spider sense is going off on this one. But the danger is all the codex it's going to leave behind. If the bad guys find that out, they'll just harvest them and make a new one. Mayor Velas was jumping from rooftop to rooftop. It's like that Pandora's box story you told me. It's been opened now. The monsters will never go back inside, they will always crawl out, she declared, hating symbiotes since first seeing them. She didn't even like working with Agent Antivenom. She then pulled out a pocket device that popped out a blade as long as the handle. She pulled out another as she roared, "You bstrd the parasite, not the pony under it," she declared, slashing a now smaller version of Venom. The symbiote summoned a spike on its back that made her jump back. The Venom on the roof was roaring as it jumped down, the knives falling out as a Hydra bootleg Hulkbuster now with oversized versions of Shocker's gauntlets connect by tube to a power back on its arms, held out, its hands firing off sonic blasts, making Venom scream as it was forced off some random mare gangster as she fell over, her eyes spinning. More of the suits showed up using the sonics to herd the slime into a metal jar being held by a Hydra agent who smirked. In a moment Mayor Velas threw her hooferangs into the power pack's form above, shutting down the weapons as she landed and said, "You hand over that slime." The agent turned to run as she screamed out, "Get her, ladies." The bootleg Hulkbuster one charged only for the Philizon to pull out a golden handle that grew a golden blade, cutting its arms off. Spider-Man landed using his claws, quickly slashed the back panels, making the legs lock so they couldn't move, while flipping to avoid blows. "Just make them walking cages. We don't have the time." Mayor Velas nodded as she jumped over one to run after the agent. "Hold them off, honey, the slime is mine," she said, coming after the Hydra agent. "Get your double-wide plot back here." The agent spread her Pegasus wings to take off as she said, "Double-wide, you are one to talk." The power pony jumped up the wall and off it to another rapidly to try and caught her. "Lady, mine is all muscle and firm, that's just a fat cake," she said, throwing her sword to hit her wing. In a moment the agent of Hydra fell over onto a roof, dropping the metal jar, making it open, freeing the now smaller symbiote. While running after it on the roof, she took a moment to kick the other mare in the head and call out, "You think you can attack a foal and get away with it, slime ball," she declared, pulled out another golden handle that turned into a spear. She span it and tried to stab the slime, only for it to slime around it as she blinked. "Right, physics," she said mentally, calling herself an idiot. The slime then found a storm drain and slimed down it as she said, "Okay, don't worry, all storm drains let out at the ocean," she said, running off, only to be joined by Spider-Man at it, and they overlooked the drain and spotted the spider's nest prison on its island. Peter put a hand on his face and said, "Stupid Parker luck," he said, grabbing Mayor Velas and swinging along. Soon enough, when they got there, Venom had a host escaping. It was shining armor. The symbiote had covered his armor once it freed his magic, his sword now blade twice as long, and its blades were spike-covered, all sharp like spearheads, giving it the appearance of a black stone macule weedle with two spikes on the top to be a tip. It had the red dragon mark of Null. His armor gained a black guard helmet with goat horns on the side and the red spiral below his horn. Shining's face was still visible under it, showing he was in charge of the symbiote, not the other way around. "This symbiote tells me I only have one enemy, but that matters not. Unlike Truehoof, my quest is to defeat you, Spider." So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 5. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author JBoy44 on fanfiction.net. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.